All right, we are live and we already have people waiting in waiting in our chat room here, which is kind of crazy, but I love that you're all here right now. And thank you all for being here. I honestly, when I scheduled this, I thought we were going to have nothing else to not like nothing to talk about because we scheduled this a while ago, but things keep happening in this industry. It's amazing. But before we get into everything we're going to talk about, guys, this is Meredith. Meredith is a friend of mine. She's an awesome photographer, but the main thing that we do together is this workshop. I hate calling it a workshop because it's really not a workshop. It's an intensive, right?
Yeah.
It's an intensive. It's called Rise. It's right there on the description, the first link right there. There's also a code for $150 off. It's happening. It's at the end of the year. It's like after wedding season. It's for wedding photographers. And people still get married. Yeah, people still get married. But it's really cool. I will tell you a little bit more about this, but what I'm hoping to do today is actually something. Well, one, I'm going to let Meredith talk, I swear. But what we're going to do, what I was hoping to do today, which I've wanted to do for a really long time, never got around to it. I want this to be radio talk show style, but live here on YouTube, which I may kick myself for this. It might be like the worst idea later. Hey, Rebecca. Hey, Robert. Hey, the Burtons are here. What's up? Hey, App. So you have in that description, if you hit more, you're going to see a Zoom link. And then that Zoom link will allow you, and I already have people in here waiting. There's 3 of you already waiting. I see you guys. It'll allow you to join in on this and be a part of this conversation. And we're going to make it radio talk show style. So you're going to come on, make sure you have headphones on, and give your input on the topic that we're on. I want to hear what you have to say. And then it's going to be you're on, you're off, and kind of in and out. So, Meredith, you want to introduce yourself while I take a bite of my New York bagel that I have with me right here? Didn't finish my lunch.
I'm jealous that you have that. I am Meredith Ryncarz. I'm a wedding and boudoir photographer and based out of Savannah, Georgia, and mom of 2 crazy children.
Awesome. And all you guys in the chat, I see you. Hey, Clarence. Hey, Mark. Tell us where you are. I always like to know where everybody's from. And if you're in a time zone, that's killing us. By the way, this is Zoe. She will be in my lap at all times. Right, baby? Yes.
Precious.
Oh, kisses. Okay. What should we start? Yeah, I'm taking over for Dr. Ruth now. Is that the sex therapist? Is that who Dr. Okay, we're not doing that. That is I charge for that. No, yeah. That sounded worse. Oh my God.
Okay, we're gonna stop now before this.
Gotta stop. Okay, here we go. We got people already in here. The first topic that we want to go talk about, and honestly, I want to get this out of the way because I feel like it's been talked about to death. Sepia Gate. So Meredith, can you just summarize what has become Sepia Gate for us? Well, I'm going to let in both actually Brad and Tanya here, get them situated while you tell all the people who might not know what Sepia Gate is.
Yeah, so Sepia Gate started with, I believe, TikTok, bunch of TikTok shorts from a very unhappy bride who claims that she saw her wedding photographer's all of her work and loved it, and it was great. Got her wedding photos back and took a while to like make some comments about not liking them. And once again, then all of a sudden, didn't like them. And
oh, hold on, Meredith. I'm sorry. I accidentally muted you and I don't know how to unmute you. There you are. I have to pin you. I'm like trying to manage everywhere. Okay, so she liked them at first. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, she liked them at first, and then for some reason kept looking at them, trying to figure out why she didn't like them. She's a makeup artist, and decided that she wasn't liking the way her makeup looked. Asked for a re-edit, and looked at the pictures, didn't like them even more, and then asked for the raw images, and then she edited them herself and put them on social media.
And then continue to have about like 87 videos bashing
so many
photographer. And, let's just stop there. Let's just stop with she loved her photos and she hated her photos. And then her photographer gave her raw photos. And I guess Tanya or Brad, if you want to pipe in. And then I'm gonna hit ask to start video because this is YouTube. But come pipe in either one of you and let us know your thoughts on the shenanigans here. What's up, Brad?
Yeah, I'll pipe in. I think it's about the money for the people.
The money for the people, is that what you said, Tanya?
They're,
Your little
I think they're salty. They're salty that they paid a lot.
Oh, okay. So it
They
was eight
start
thousand
treating
dollars, right?
things.
Yeah.
I think it's that. I don't think it's necessarily the work. They just find issues because they feel personally hurt by how much they spent. And I get it.
Uh, I think that's pretty relevant to the discussion, actually, right? Because it's $8,000. And I've seen a lot of people say, like, oh, well, the funny part is that's not even that much, right? $8,000 is not that much for a quality wedding photographer. But to anyone who's investing in that wedding photography, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And it's also not, if she had paid $800 for it, we'd all be like, go kick rocks. But $8,000, no, she had a little bit of a priority there. Yeah, that's so true. What do you think, Brad?
I think at like $8,000, I think you're probably going to understand that investment that you're making already at that point, because it's a decent chunk of change. Is it an amazing amount of change? I mean, no, but like it's still pretty decent. I mean, that's your mid high end photography, and you're going to probably investigate that investment that you're going to make.
Mm, yeah,
Sorry, I'm at the airport getting ready to fly out here. So
oh my God, wait, are you stuck at the airport?
no, I'm not. No, I'm flying with WestJet back to Canada from San Francisco. So
Okay.
I'm good.
Because that's part of our list is to talk about is the technological problems that's happening at airports today. So, all right,
WestJet
awesome.
has had a bunch of issues with canceling flights because they had a mechanic strike.
Oh man. Yeah, it's always something, right?
Hmm.
Well, let's go a little bit further with the whole Sepia Gate thing because I think this is where it started to get more sticky and in a good way, right? All these photographers were started coming at this girl whose name for the record I don't even know, and defending the photographer. For the most part, that's what I saw anyway. A lot of people just defending that photographer. And on my end, do I edit the way she does? No. And I have my reasons for that, but I felt that she showed very clear expectations of what her work looks like. I saw the photos and they very much looked like the same quality of work. And then she went above and beyond giving raw files. And raw files is another part of the conversation here. Do you even give raw files? What are you thinking, David? You want to pipe in?
Oh, excuse me. No, I would never give raw files. I'm one who's against raw files. I mean, unless it's like another photographer's wedding I'm shooting, and they say, "Hey, I'll pay you associate degree flight fee to shoot my wedding, and just hand over my card with the raw files. You can go ahead and use the raw files in your portfolio." And I find that's the only way I would do it. Other than that, no, never give raw files or anything else like that out.
Was there much of an outrage about how she, again, because I didn't continue watching, but was there an outrage on how the photographer gave her, I think it was a handful of raw files for free, but then charged her for the rest of them? Was she mad about that
I
at all?
believe that was the case, Vanessa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she wanted to charge like $4,000 for all the raw files.
Which is an appropriate amount for sure.
I think so. I think so.
Yeah. And then I wonder if that was the thing that like was the tipping point for this bride, right? Pissed about the money, like you were saying, Tanya, but then on top of it, now she's getting charged more to do the work herself.
Yeah.
Again, in her mind.
Yeah. And she even said in some of the videos that, I understand that raws are expensive and I get that. And that, I think that's exactly where Tanya was going with that earlier is I think that was the tipping point. I agree.
Yeah.
Well, she understood, but she didn't understand.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And now she's pissed. I'm curious if any of you all here have ever had the experience. I was actually at a vendor showcase the other day and I was listening to, I think it was a wedding floral designer that was talking about it. They were talking about a client, a couple that they had who the wedding was perfection and everything went flawlessly. And this couple came back and complained, demanding a refund, and then did a chargeback on their credit card. And apparently they did that with every single vendor. Like just they're trying to get their money back. And I'm curious if any of you have ever had clients where they complained, but then you slowly start realizing that their goal is not to rectify it or get anything but their money back.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, I just had it happen to me. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I shot a wedding about 3 months ago in Lake George, New York. I delivered the photos. They love the photos, and then they're like, "Oh, no, we don't really like them. We want something back." Blah blah blah. After the raving review that they gave me, they even wrote a nice. They even wrote a nice client review for me and everything else like that. They loved my work. They loved my date, my timeline working with me. And then 2 weeks ago, they got a text from the groom going, "Oh, can we speak to you tonight at some point tonight?" I was like, "Oh, sure, sure." I make a phone call with them. I set up a phone conference with them. We would like some of our money back. We're just not happy with the way everything turned out with you. We're not asking for all our money back because we can't get our deposit back because you already provide services or something like that. I was like, "All right, I already delivered your photos. You approved with them. I already took care of it. There's nothing I can do." And they're still fighting to say they actually have. I just got an email from their credit card company, paper in their actually my mail, saying, "Hey, we are we're not authorizing this charge. You have to give the money back." A whole big dispute with their credit card company about that because they put it on
And
their credit card.
they favored them. I've seen that. And actually, that's exactly what this woman was complaining about is that the credit card company was like, yeah, we're just going to give them all their money back. Well, not we. It's you have to give them all their money back, even though there's written proof that they were satisfied. There's photos that the product was delivered. And it's like, what in the world? Hey, Ellie, nice to see you.
I'm refusing to turn the money back. I mean, I even handed to. Luckily I have really good friends. I have 5 best friends who are all lawyers. I emailed them right away. I said, "Hey, what do I do in this situation?" And they're taking care of it. They said, "Do not talk to them. Do not even mention them. We'll talk to them directly." I haven't even heard from my lawyers, friends who are doing it, who are taking it off free. All I have to do is get a dinner out, at their treat. But they said, talk to them, and you know, they try and even contact you, just and write to me. I mean, then there's another case. I shot an engagement shoot, same type of deal. They paid me for their engagement shoot. They paid me a deposit. They still owed me a little bit of money for, their wedding day, and they canceled. And like, "Oh, we want our money back. We're canceling a month of our wedding."
Man.
So
All right.
this right here is a prime example of why we should be talking to lawyers for our contracts as well.
Yes.
That's exactly where I want to go next.
Yeah. So I have a full-time job, and doing wedding photography is like my part-time job. Like I do a side business, and at my full-time job, we stopped taking numbers like credit card numbers and stuff over the phone. You have to have the piece. We all have a machine in our truck, and you put the machine in, you put your PIN number in, and then that shows that you have paid and you knew the code to get it to pay it.
Right.
Because we were having 30% of our customers do chargebacks.
What?
Mhm.
That's bananas.
That's
Man, people
crazy.
are shisty.
That's
Shisty
crazy,
people.
Brad.
That was like tow truck stuff, but yeah.
Man, theft of service for sure, Robert, in the comments. Yeah. I want to get into the contract, but before I'm gonna let some other people in here. So I'm gonna pop some of you guys out. Thank you for popping in. But Ellie, you haven't said anything yet. Did you want to chime in, darling?
Just wanted to say hello. I've just been following you, Vanessa, for a while, and I used to do family photography, like family portraits, but I don't. I mean, like somebody else said, I have a full-time job, and I got sick for a while, so I'm just chiming in to see what's happening out there. So you guys will be a source of information, so I appreciate that.
We're here for the tea for you. Let's get into contracts because that was kind of in my thing. We could talk about contracts with raw files, but the contract that I think pertains mostly to Sepia Gate, and then I want to get onto our next topic, is artistic freedom, the artistic clause. And I'm actually going to pull up my contract and share my screen so you guys can see my contract clause that talks about that. And it's actually been updated because of a client that I had, it's like 2 years ago now, I think, where she was complaining about like the angles I chose for a specific photo that she wanted. And I'm like, okay, well, that means I need to update my artistic clause contract. I'm choosing angles. But let me grab this documents. I'm in 17 hats here. I don't know if you guys know about 17 hats. I will show you the back end in a second, but when I actually get there, not before. So let's get to contracts. Anyone else want to
Isn't that
type
always
in?
what happens? Our contracts are always like, they're like, it's always in response to something else that's happened rather than being like preemptive to that stuff, right?
So true. So true. Like this one right here, I have a kill fee right there. That one was a big one for me, and it came from a client that I was working with her. Let's make this a little bigger. I was working with her, super happy. I did their engagement photos. They loved them. And then I get this random email like, hey, we'd like to cancel our contract with you. We are working with another, she was a model. I'm working with another photographer as a model. And I just, she offered to collab with me basically because she was influencer, which is code for she's giving me my wedding photography for free. So I no longer want to pay you for it, even though I love everything you've done. So that's where, and she was past this, if it's within 90 days, you're required to pay this, 250 days, you're required to pay that. She was before that. So now it's like, okay, we need to add a kill fee for, BS, because that covers my expenses for all of the administration. Okay, let's find this artistic clause. Then I do have this whole contract, and I had someone look at, a lawyer, definitely have your lawyers look at the contract. But this one I actually got from wedding photographer Joe Busink. So I'll make it bigger here for you guys. I got it from him, and he got it from Steven Spielberg. And this is an artistic clause contract. So I'll read it for those of you who are maybe driving, listening. Artistic style on its behalf and on behalf of the subject, client acknowledges that it is familiar with the photographer's portfolio and is requesting service with knowledge of the photographer's style, that the photographer's work is constantly evolving, because that's also true, especially with weddings. They book you a year ahead. Your work evolves by the time you photograph them, potentially. The photographer services are of unique and artistic nature, that the photos may be different from the photographs taken by the photographer in the past, and that, let me let Ella in here. I lost my spot. Oh, shall use her personal artistic judgment to create images consistent with her personal vision, I should say his or hers, of the event, which vision may be different from the client's, or the subject's, or the guest vision of the event. And I put that in there because once somebody told me that they liked the photo that one of their friends took of the cake cutting and liked their angle better. I'm like, okay, that's great. With your friends and their phones, you have a 360 football style coverage. Like that's not my job. Appropriate, and this is what I added here. Appropriate angles of photography and positioning of crew is at the experienced discretion of Vanessa Joy and staff. Accordingly, client acknowledges that the photo shall not be subject to rejection on the basis of taste or aesthetic criteria. So that right there is an artistic style clause. So that's it.
Apparently, we have to get like the Matrix style cinematography and cameras going now.
That's pretty much
every
correct.
angle.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Okay. I am going to kick all y'all out for a minute. And then we'll get to our next discussion. And then obviously you guys, please feel free to come back in if you want to get into the next topic that we'll get there. And then we'll go from there. Boop. And of course, you can still stay in the chat that we have in, oh my gosh, YouTube. I'm clicking too many things. I should have had somebody like manage this while I'm trying to think straight. My God, whose idea was this? Okay, let's get to the next topic, which I thought was really one of the main reasons I wanted to have this little live was the way photographers have been treating each other. What do you think, Meredith?
Well, I feel like after talking back and forth with you, Googlegate falls under that one. But
yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's you know, I think the pendulum swings back and forth. You've been doing this for a while. I've been in the industry for 15 years now. And I think there are times where everybody gets along really, really well. And then it just gets dog eat dog world.
Yeah. And, you know, I don't want to look at like mass tragedies for this, but when I think about human nature, I think of two different big things. One was 9/11. You know, I was right outside New Jersey. I felt that real hard. And there was an immediate after that camaraderie, a unification of the US. And then now we've had COVID, and I feel like that did the opposite. And then what I think, and again, this is just my speculation, I think right now what we're seeing, particularly in the wedding photographer world, is the wedding gap. And I'll let you explain what the wedding gap is. And I'm just going to remind everyone that's watching, you can go into the description. You can join us live here on the video. So you can come in and chat about this topic with us. So feel free to come do that. Wedding gap. What's a wedding gap?
There are quite a few reasons for the wedding gap, but the wedding gap is basically a smaller amount of weddings are happening right now. I feel like we are slowly getting to the end of that. But it traditionally takes people about 3 years-ish to go from, okay, I've met this person, maybe on a blind date, whatever, to, okay, I really like this person. Now we're engaged. Now we're getting married. And something happened right in the middle of that a couple years ago that has caused everything to be off of that normal schedule.
Yeah. And this is wedding industry wide. And I think there's a little bit of the culture in there too. I think just culturally, not as many people feel the need to get married versus just live together, have a family, and not participate in that traditional establishment. So I think it's both of those. But what ultimately comes with that are we have a lot of people that have a lot more free time to go on the internet and get pissed at everyone else. I think, how do I put this graciously? I think people are losing money, so that adds extra frustration, as of course it does. Like, of course it does. And there's, you know, consequence to that when we start looking at each other. Because some of the things that I've seen, and you could tell me if you've seen it, is oh, who do I have to kick out? That's nice. Sorry, give me a second. I was wondering when we get that one. But I'm so distracted now. I'm not even gonna lie.
So
what was I talking about? Go.
I think that what you're talking about with the fact that there are less weddings that have happened over the past year and a half. It coupled with things are costing more, stresses people out and causes them to do things that, you know, fear makes us do things we would normally do or behave as a culture, as a community of photographers. And I think that's kind of the direction that we were going there.
Yeah, I think it is. And, you know, I have a lot of tolerance for a lot of things. I think one of the things that pissed me off the most, and it really is more on the YouTube side, maybe because I am the brunt of it a lot more. I cannot stand when I see creators attack other creators. Like, as a YouTuber, like, you know how hard this job is. Like, you know how it mentally deflates you. Why would you put that on anybody else? So I can't stand it. Rebecca, what's up, girl? Hold on. I think I have to ask you to unmute. Hey, Adam, how are you?
Hey, Vanessa.
So tell me, do you have any input on this, Rebecca?
It's just something that, I mean, I'm coming up on 15 years in the business, and it is wild to see when I have joined different communities, whether it's an event I'm attending, different communities in my area that are getting together, especially for wedding vendors, to see the way that creatives in different communities, some of them are so much each other's cheerleaders, but there is really that drive that it's like, I can't be good enough if I don't tear other people down to make space for myself. And it's so frustrating to see that mindset from often very talented creators who are they're insecure on where they are. And they think in order to grow that they have to tear somebody else down, that there's only so much space in the industry. And it drives me nuts because there's not. There's space for all of us. We all have different styles and approaches, whether it's our photographic style, our style as a creator, whether it's with your YouTube videos, but also the experience we provide, the viewpoint that we provide. There is space for all of us, and there are clients that are going to resonate with all different people.
So true. That's so true. Adam, did you want to chime in here?
Yeah, I would just want to hear what you're talking. So I just want to hear. I want to listen to what you're saying because I need to mute myself because I'm in London and I'm doing something quick and I will be right back.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
So let me. Okay. Yeah, I think it was probably around like the 2006 to 2012 era was our really big community over competition moment in our industry. And now we're seeing the opposite, like Googlegate. Have y'all heard about Googlegate? Oh, okay. I will explain this one. Let me see if I can pull up. I know I have it on Threads, but you can't go on Threads. I'll just explain it. So UK SEO photographer or a photographer, but proclaimed SEO expert, was in a Facebook group talking about one of his strategies is to find his competition's YouTube listings and take them down. And there is a loophole, apparently, which we're all painfully aware of right now, where if you list your home address as your business address, because most of us are working out of our home, it's not valid because it's not like a store walk-in public business. And you technically have to do a service area instead. And a lot of photographers just didn't know it because when you apply, it's like name, address, and you put your address in, and then they even send you a card like for you to validate that this is your address. So if you are reported that your business address is not valid, Google immediately takes down your Google listing and all your reviews and kills your SEO. And it's like this loophole. And this guy admitted to actively doing this to all the competition and encouraging his clients to do the same. And the worst part about all of this, in my opinion, wasn't even that he was horrible to the community around him. It was that when he was finally confronted with it, he doubled down. He didn't say, you know what, you caught me, I was wrong, I'm going to be better. Which I feel like in this world of cancel culture lately, like we've all gotten fairly good at like, you know what, that's an appropriate response. I still don't like you, but you know what, that's an appropriate response. So then when he doubled down and did the opposite, it was like, oh man. Oh man. Brad, what's up, Brad? She's saying that's why I love Seth Miranda and his community and how I found Vanessa, because uplifting to the community, wants to create a supportive culture of VJ doing this. Yeah, I totally agree. People like Seth Miranda, if you don't know who he is, he's actually about to hit 100K here on YouTube. So go check out Seth Miranda. I'll put his link in the chat here. And definitely a great person to follow. Thanks for coming in, Rebecca, by the way. So yeah, so this negativity, I don't know. How do you think we can come out of this, Meredith?
Ooh.
That's the question. Like,
Yeah,
where do we go from here?
I think that the hard part well, let me back up. When we had that big community over competition movement, we had a lot of local, regional, small groups in our own community where we lived. And
that's true. And we all got together.
And we all got together and we knew, what people were going through. We could see people as people. We could see that they wanted to be seen and heard and understood, versus when we go to a major photography conference, they're not necessarily in our market. It's easier to befriend people that we're not in competition with. And so I think that the rise of, I saw this last week when I was in Florida, the rise of local guilds for photographers in Florida. Man, those people got along really, really well.
Because they were in person, yeah.
Because they were in person, but it was a regional community, not a national community. And they had to play nice with each other, and they did. So I think that needs to come back in a way that encourages us to collaborate together, to commune together. We're meant as people, as humans, to be in community together.
I love this because, so if you guys are just joining right now, Meredith and I hold an in-person intensive. The link is there right in the description. There's a $150 off code. Also, it's way later in the fall, so not during the busy season. But the point of that is people are coming to in-person stuff so much less, right? Yeah. I know, as somebody who's been doing in-person workshops, events for the past over a decade, it's dropped off dramatically. Conventions. I mean, we're talking, I would say, a fifth of the amount of photographers that used to come to conventions now come to conventions. And yes, it's because there's a ton of online education. There's an absolute direct correlation between YouTube and Creative Live and the drop off of in-person stuff. And I'm not knocking any of it. I'm just saying there's a correlation. But I think we need to get back to that. And if you're a wedding photographer, you're going to love seeing Meredith and I, and can come back to it if I go in there. Oh, Adam, I'm sorry. You said you had to go do something for work. Feel free to come back in. But that, I would love to see that swing. And I think you're right. I think those in-person things, the more that everyone can get back to being in person and looking at someone in the face, and it sounds really weird to say, but like, get used to being that kind of respectable social again, because we lost it. We lost it.
We really did.
Yeah. Yeah. So true. I think now one of the biggest things I dislike is, for me personally, I see it a lot, the world of unsolicited advice on client facing posts on social media. Do you get those?
I haven't gotten a ton of them, thank God. But yeah, they're just, that's, especially if it's towards a client's image and their personal appearance or anything like that. Like, come on.
Don't do that. Don't do that. So bad. Okay. So I thought we'd continue on, and if you're just joining, and Adam, this goes for you too, just go click. You can re-click to join. You can go into the description, log on to the Zoom. I'm going to let you in. And hopefully you won't do anything weird like we've already had. But please be camera ready and appropriate, or I'll kick you right out and you'll see me blush. But I want to talk to all of you about these things here. So I heard a post today that was talking about the unsolicited advice, and I'm very traditional human. Like, I'm not like super feminist. I'm very like women's rights for sure. So I don't want this to come off as like bad men attacking. But in the posts that I get that are negative, that are unsolicited advice, critiques, being nasty to my clients, they are 99.999999% from men to me. I'm curious if anyone else experiences the same thing. Yes, please put on a shirt. That would be great. But yeah, so go ahead. You guys can go into the description of the YouTube video and click in to join in, and you can comment about any of the other stuff that we've talked about already. One thing I'd love to talk about, the new Canon cameras. That was a big thing in photography. Positive. We need to switch to like somewhere positive
let's switch to something positive here.
So Canon released the EOS R5 Mark II and the EOS R1, which is their flagship camera. And I was very fortunate to do one of the official campaign videos for Canon for the R5 Mark II. And it's so funny. What's up, Ryan Troy? It's so funny. I am usually a flagship camera kind of person, and I tend to love like the bigger cameras and like the bulky and all of that. But I fell in love with, what's technically like the lesser camera that they just released. And Meredith is thinking about switching to Canon. So I felt this is a fun discussion, and you guys can all join it. Just click onto the Zoom link in the bottom. We can talk about Canon cameras. Please don't bash any other companies. That's not my style. But tell me about your thought process and why you're thinking of moving to Canon. And you don't have to say who you're moving from. Just what are you liking? What are you liking?
So we've had this discussion on and off a little bit, and I'm currently on a DSLR. Don't come after me.
No.
And so in knowing that, okay, it's time to switch to mirrorless, it's beyond time. Looking at brands outside of what I'm currently using, and Canon is definitely one of them. And so I rented a R6 II. And tested it out, and
which is what I told you to rent, if I recall, right?
Okay, but that was before the new one came out, so fair point. And loved it. Absolutely, just loved the focus, loved the color, loved I am not a tech person, and so being able to look at a YouTube video in less than 15 minutes and go, oh, from unboxing to never having held a Canon in my hand before and going, okay. And we're out shooting. So absolutely loved it. I actually have a Canon coming in this evening to test one more time. And I think my decision will be made at that point.
Okay, that's exciting. And Christine Kozak, yes, you need to come to Rise, the wedding intensive that we do. It's small, so I don't actually know how many people are signed up, but we limit it to 20. It is an intensive. It is like we are teaching you how to be a full service wedding photography studio. If you're a portrait photographer, you'll get just as much out of it, but it is more, our expertise is more in weddings than portraits. And it's 3 days long. You get to tour a printing lab during that time, which is very cool. But what I love about our workshop, if I'm allowed to talk about that, is it's not like hey, we're going to talk at you for 3 days and then you're going to write all this stuff down, feel super motivated and go home and do absolutely nothing, or have questions when you get home and apply it. Like, what do we do instead, Meredith?
Yeah, I will say that it is intensive because the good idea fairy hits at every single conference. You get the good idea fairy. Oh my gosh, here's my list of things. I'm going to go home and I'm going to be super active. And then life hits you in the face and it doesn't get done. And here we're actually carving out time to do your pricing, to do, if you do in-person sales. If you don't, this is perfect because we are going to practice that. And then our last one was in Savannah, and the folks that came to that still talk to this day. They second shoot for each other. They have built their own community. And so I love all of that has come out of it.
Yeah, a bunch of them came with me to Italy and are coming with me to Croatia next month. I do these photo trips, but that's neither here nor there. If you're interested in checking out the Rise Intensive, it's the very first link in the YouTube description, and there is a code there. And I forgot to mention that code actually expires in 9 days. I should probably add that there. So definitely sign up. But hey, Corey, what's up? Corey is one of my photo insiders, longtime founder photo insider, which is pretty incredible. incredible. Rebecca too. But pipe in, guys. Did you sign on to talk about cameras?
I did.
Okay, good. Talk about cameras.
Well, it's just funny because I literally, when I had to run away before, it was because someone was coming to pick up a film camera that they're borrowing from me. And then I came back to this discussion and I was like, okay, this is the debate in our house. We have one of us shoots Canon, one of us does not. And we both are still on DSLRs. So Meredith, as soon as you were like, I'm coming from a DSLR, and I'm like, okay,
And
we
film.
both are. I'm like, the mirrorless, I cannot wrap my head around yet. What was the biggest change and what did you love about it? What helped you make that switch? Help convince me here, girls.
Well, I haven't switched yet. Like I am about to. Like Vanessa has convinced me that like it has to happen. It's
I'll
so
tell you
much
why in a
faster.
minute.
It's so much faster. The weight is different. Like if you pick up a hefty DSLR camera, I know, right? And as wedding photographers, I'm a little older than Vanessa. And it's going to wear on your body. So the gear that you choose is important. It's really important.
Also, there's just an ability for the camera and the lens to communicate better with that lack of mirror. There's more connections. So the technology just keeps getting, it's kind of like, I don't know, when we went from having to like crank a car to like where it's at now. I mean, that's a dramatic one, but it's really enabled.
I mean, maybe that's from film to mirrorless.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But it's enabled a whole new world of what cameras and lenses can do together now.
Yes. Oh, Ryan Troy just said it in the chat. DSLRs take amazing photos as well, or the people who are operating them. But in my opinion, mirrorless just makes the job so much easier, which increases client satisfaction, your ability to be creative, your ability to create a client experience, all of it. Go ahead, Rebecca, what were you going to say?
I was going to say the other one that is hard for me is I am still using a camera that has my optical viewfinder. Going to a digital viewfinder or shooting with just a screen. Did you find that a big change going from like your classic optical viewfinder to the digital?
I did with the older versions.
Yes.
And then Meredith, I don't know if you noticed. So when the camera comes out of the box, I believe it's on the EVF power saving mode, which is not as smooth and natural. So you actually change a setting to have it be so much more smooth and natural. And then now with the R5 Mark II, that one has an even bigger EVF on it. And it's just like, it's wild. It's wild.
Yeah. I didn't notice it as much with the last few rounds of Canon. I think Fuji was the first one to do the electronic EVFs like 10 years ago. And that was kind of.
Yeah. To me, two biggest differences is the ability to autofocus faster, which makes you shoot faster and more accurately. In DSLR, I would love to shoot still with, at 1.2, but I never would. And if I did, I would like focus and refocus 16 times, like take a whole bunch of pictures and one of them would be in focus. Now it will lock on at 1.2 and you are getting those eyelashes as crisp, eyeballs crisp there. So the autofocus technology, especially now, the new Canon R5 Mark II and the R1 have, and I think the R3 has it too. You can register people's faces so it knows which people are the priority. So you can do this with you could tell your client to be like, hey, send me a selfie. And you put that selfie on a memory card, stick it in the camera. So before you even get to the job, you have their faces registered as priority to focus on. That's wild. And then number two, it's the lenses. The lenses, yes, the communication, like Corey was saying, is better between camera and lens, but there is no 28 to 70 f2 lens in a DSLR version. There is no 135 1.8, at least for Canon. And it just keeps getting better and more wild. And my job is easier. And I'm also old and I need it to be easier.
We are not old. Stop saying that, birthday buddy.
I don't know, y'all. I just had my 40th and had my first hot flash all on the same day.
One leads into the other. Happy birthday. And Rebecca, when is your birthday? Because it's like now.
Yesterday.
Yesterday. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay. Happy birthday. And then mine was
Thank
3
you.
days ago. We're all July babies here. Meredith, when's yours?
Oh, mine's in October.
Okay.
That's what my
We'll,
wife.
we'll remember you. I love that we all can gearhead it up. So much fun. I had one more thing we wanted to talk about here. Let me go back to my notes. Oh, okay. Massive computer outage today, and having to do with airlines, but it's like twofold, and why I wanted to talk about it here. Meredith, you were talking about, what about the destination wedding photographers?
Well, it's I mean, yeah, it's that, and it's several other things. So, we both do in-person sales. And if I'm telling my client, hey, this is going to be here on this time, UPS is shut down. Like,
oh,
their stores are closed.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Their stores are closed today. If you're a destination wedding photographer and you are headed out for a wedding today, which I don't recommend, and your wedding is tomorrow, that's a problem. And I can't imagine being in that situation right now.
No. And that's all of it is. So the thing that I thought, just in general, computer shutting down, I know Meredith and I use 17 Hats, and all of our client management is online. That calendar syncs to Google Calendar. And, what if Google Calendar goes down? And I'm like, do I remember all of my clients' wedding dates? Like they're written on the back of my hand? Like, no. What do you guys do? Should we be printing things? I know I have separate Excel sheets with them, with my job dates, just in case. But what do you guys do?
I know for me, I don't worry about it because I know how protected the stuff is in 17 Hats. I'm not worried about it.
Ooh, how are they protecting it? I don't know this.
I am not smart enough to know that, other than I know it is very well protected, and they take that very seriously. So
yeah, I don't doubt it, but I also don't doubt the airlines do the same. And sometimes, there are just jerks out there that their primary job is to take down stuff like this, and be a jerk. My mic, by the way, is the Shure mic.
I was going to ask you that the other day too.
Yeah, it's actually my husband's. I stole it. And but Corey and Rebecca were both holding up a diary and a pen, calendar and a pen. It's a thing.
Yeah, but I lived in New Orleans, and like living through hurricane seasons, and like no matter what the weather, like it can just be a bad storm, we're gonna lose power. And knowing that like that's gonna happen, like so that just prepared me for everywhere of like if I ever don't have power and internet for something, like what am I gonna be able to do?
Yeah, mine is honestly, I went completely digital with everything for a long time, and I use 17 Hats. It runs my life for me because I don't have the brain capacity for it. But I have my planner, and I sit down on the first of the month. I do the big things for the month on the calendar, and then every Sunday night I sit down and go through all my tasks for the week for clients and have it all laid out, because otherwise you're going to ask me what I'm doing tomorrow, and I'm like, I don't know. I'll check my calendar and let you know. I have no idea. It's the only way I keep myself on top of it.
That's a lot of what I do too, Rebecca. Do you do the bullet journal method?
No, actually, I did for a little while, but then I would get too lazy to actually lay out the bullet journal. So I found one that literally has all my times by half hour here, and then it gives you to-do list sections by priority. And yeah, it works for me.
And there's something about writing it, especially since we're in the creative field, right? That is satisfying.
And checking things off the to-do list.
So true. I am not a checker offer. I'm a cross it out kind of person.
You stab it a few times afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. I need the haptic feedback. I do apologize to you guys watching on YouTube. I didn't realize it was inserting ads. I tried to stop that. But if you saw them, I'm sorry. Not my intention. We are probably going to wrap up in just a couple of minutes. We've been going for almost an hour now, and there's over 725 of you that have joined in. So thank you so much. And if you're just joining, you can log on. There is a Zoom link down there in the description. You can come in and chime in talking about what's going on here in the industry. And, you could talk about anything that we've talked about so far, the latest wedding trends, the wedding gap we're all feeling, photographers being mean to each other, Sepia Gate, Google Gate, and then everything getting shut down today. So there's a lot. And Joanna, by all means, come pop on in. And I love your Canon camera. I see there in your photo, and feel free to start video or not. But yeah, let me know any other questions, any more stuff that you guys want to talk about. How you doing, Joanna?
Hi.
Anything you want to pipe in and talk to us about?
No, I just joined. I missed the first 4 hour or whatever. So
It will be up. It will be up on YouTube. And then, of course, you can come see Meredith and I live in person with that first link down there in the description for the intensive we're running. And there's a $150 coupon for the next few days. But yeah, well, what's going on in your part of the world, Joanna? What are some of the things that you've noticed in the photo industry, or things that are happening that are changing, or?
I would say that where I am in Wisconsin, people are cheap but demanding. So I'm not really photographing too many weddings anymore, but I do find that you get a little tired of the want it all, and I find that with weddings, the thing that annoys me the most is that after the wedding is over, is trying to get a hold of the couple to choose their photographs, to follow through, to put the wall art, to order what they want. It's just
we have a secret for that. Actually, because Meredith and I, so we talk about this a lot when we teach, and Meredith and I, one of the reasons I love teaching with you, Meredith, is that we get the same thing done, but do it completely differently.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. And we both have success in our ways of doing it. So my method of making sure people order their pictures, design their album with me, is they don't get their high resolution files until they sit down and do that with me. I hold it and I flat out tell them that. I tell them that during the consultation. I remind them of that when they see their photos, all of it. And I tell them it's a carrot in front of the horse, because life happens after your wedding. And if I don't have a way to make this a priority for you, you'll forget. The other reason is I include complimentary retouching on all the photos that you choose to print through me, put in your albums. And I don't want to give you all the high resolution files of unretouched photos that are your favorites. So I'm going to do it all at once, one at a time, but you got to do all your stuff with me first. What's your tactic, Meredith?
Mine is in person. I know you do yours virtually, and 90% of ours are in person. And I don't let them have the pictures until afterwards either. But we live in Savannah, and so I use a little extra carrot, and I'm like, come have a vacation.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, because not all of your clients are in Savannah. Most of them aren't, correct?
Most of them are not. Mm-mm.
That's fine.
I had the chance to talk to Susan Strickling one time, and her thing was that she has the whole thing in one big package, so that it's all paid for ahead of time, and she delivers what they've ordered.
Right. Yeah.
It's all paid for already.
That's smart too. Yeah. Including all the things. This is the type of stuff that Meredith and I talk about in Rise and teach you to do, and how to do it in a way that keeps your clients happy, but also, gets you more profit. So I'd love to see people there with us this year at Rise. So the link is in the description. There was one more thing. Oh,
the quantity.
Trent. What'd you say, Corey?
Have you guys talked about I missed the first part. Have you talked about the ridiculous quantity some photographers are giving to
and that I feel like is right alongside of wedding trends and client expectations. So I think wedding clients right now are expecting so many more because they're used to this and a million photos, right? But I also, along those lines of client expectations, are the types of images they're expecting: the blurry photos, the direct flash photos. And I'm not, for the record, bashing any of it.
That's tilt is back in.
The tilt, right? And then the things that are becoming less popular because of that, quality shot at 1.2 blurry background type imagery or golden hour photos. Now people want to shoot more raw looking and they want to shoot in the middle of the day. Anyone want to chime in on that?
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of culling the photographs before you show them to the client to try and avoid the analysis paralysis.
That's true. Yeah.
If you've got 5 or 6 pictures that look identical, you might be able to see the difference, but they're just going to look at them and say, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and Vanessa, you and I both started, I believe, in film, both of us. And that was a lot lower, a lot more intentional, a lot less images delivered. And I still kind of ascribe to that intentionality of what's being created and crafted.
Like 300 images for a full wedding day, about, right?
Yeah, it used to be.
Yeah.
I have 16 pictures from my wedding.
16? That
Yes.
sounds about right. Yep.
I've been married 47 years, so.
Yeah. And about 3 years ago, I think I was around the 800 to 1,000 mark. And then the past 3 years, I just think demand has gone up. And also, it's a lot easier to take a bunch of really great photos, especially like dancing photos at the reception. And then you could AI edit them, which is really not costing you time or money because of that. I use Imagine AI and it's just like it's done. So it's like, well, why not give those photos, right? So now I'm around 1,500 to 2,000, depending on how long the day is. If there's a rehearsal dinner also before, the closer to 2,000 is usually if there's a rehearsal dinner and stuff. But what are you guys at?
I don't deliver that many. I usually deliver and cut it down to about 300-400, something like that.
300-400, yeah.
Yeah. The weddings I've done have not been in exotic locations. We're talking, local venues.
And then not as long. So I imagine that's not a 10 to 12 hour wedding day also.
Not usually, no.
Okay, right.
If you go with the bride getting ready, it can kind of drag out. I did a number of weddings at the Campus Center, which is right by Lake Michigan, on a beautiful, beautiful location. So, and I try to limit the number I take of the wedding reception, because after everybody gets drunk, it's really not. The pictures aren't worth.
So true.
I
always tell people, like, you don't need me that long. Like, those are not wedding album worthy images. That's blackmail.
You have the frog in a blender type dancing. It's really hard to.
Frog in a blender. Daniela said.
That was a Seinfeld reference.
Yeah, that's so good.
But
or Elaine dancing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But one thing I always try to do with weddings, if I can, is get a group picture of everybody at the wedding. If there's a balcony, preferably, I'll just get them all out on the dance floor before they get drunk and take a picture so that everybody's still there and
represented.
Yeah, and that's always been very popular.
I would love you guys in the chat. Tell me what your deliverability or delivery number is. So Daniello Fajardo said, I try to reduce it to 700 to 1,000 max. Arwell Davis said delivering 400 to 500. And if you want, tell me like how many hours, because Daniela said the 7 to 1,000 is 6 to 8 hour weddings. So roughly 80 to 100 photos an hour. Like that seems appropriate. But I'm curious, definitely you guys can tell me in the chat. And then we can get to, what are you guys thinking of the wedding trends, the direct flash, the blurry, the, I don't know, traditional blurry background and golden hour not being popular anymore?
I haven't noticed that. Maybe things don't catch on as quickly in Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Potentially. Honestly, I feel like a lot of the trends come out of Utah and New York.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. Utah gets the creative trends and New York gets the edgy ones.
Yeah, the out of focus picture, I just did not understand at all why anybody would want out of focus pictures.
I have a theory on that and direct flash. I think it's so the age of people who are getting married right now, let's just say average 30 years old, their childhood photos looked like direct flash, and a
Yep.
lot of them looked blurry, but they still got the essence and the memory and the nostalgia from those images. And I think that's why they like to see them in their wedding photos now. That's my theory.
But what do you think they're going to think in 20 years when they look at them?
Well, ain't that the thing?
They're going to think, just like the brown photos, they're going to think that they look dated.
And now we go full circle back to Sepia Gate, because that
my son's
perfect.
wedding photos had that sepia tinge to them, and
Mhm.
it's a fad. It's going to be over in 5 minutes. You know, it's.
Yeah. I mean, it may or may not. I don't know the answer to that necessarily. But that is why, and I'm not attacking anybody who shoots that way, but
No.
that is one of the reasons why I decided to go into a more true to color style, because two reasons. One, it's going to last longer. But secondly, if my clients actually want that kind of look, it's easier for them to edit it themselves off of a base true to color photo. Right. And then you could edit to whatever fad you want. That's fine.
You could also offer photographs true to color or with a filter on them as an option. That way you've got more pictures to sell.
Right. Yeah, that's true. So yeah, so back to Sepia Gate, but it has been an hour. If you are just coming on, we've been talking about a lot of things. And Joel, hey, what's going on? If you want to pipe in about this, definitely do that. But I think your audio is not connected yet. And Meredith and I are doing a workshop. So we are doing this to promote the workshop that we are doing later this year. It's a 3-day intensive. I don't like calling it a workshop. I have to stop doing that. Mostly for wedding photographers, but definitely applies to portraiture as well. Just being a full service photography studio, elevating your brand, and doing the work to get all that done while you're there in the intensive, not waiting to get home to do it.
Well, I think we've focused on the business side of it, but we've left out what we as photographers really want, right?
Oh, I forgot about that. You should talk about that.
Which is the style shoot.
Yeah.
The third day, or the second day, excuse me, is a style shoot at a local wedding venue, and the mood board for it is really amazing.
It is. And do you have a copy of that on your computer that you can share?
Not have a copy as we sit here talking about.
I know, that's horrible. Hold on, it's probably on the website.
Yeah. But I believe that horses have been brought up. Classic cars have been brought up as well.
Okay, I do not see it on the website, but I'll just share my screen. Anyway, Joel, you want to pipe in for anything here?
Hello, are you able to hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. At first I couldn't.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I guess I didn't set up Zoom on my new computer. I just upgraded to like a 4080 Super. Sorry, I'm talking computer stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I haven't set it up fully. But you were just talking about wedding photography, and I actually last Friday just shot my first wedding, I guess. And it wasn't really like full. Thank you. It wasn't really like a full wedding day because they got married in a courtroom, but we did like a couple shoot in a park. And then we also did a shoot in a bar, and then there was the reception. So I think it was like 4 to 6 hours for the whole day. And I took like over 1,000 because I'm just like 5+ photos of the same exact thing. I'm just mashing to make sure I get the right photo. So that's why, yeah, I was curious what the deliverables would be for something like that. I mean, I'm hoping for at least 100 good photos. I can't imagine. So I'm still editing now because I have a full-time job. I can't imagine, delivering like 700 out of the 1,000.
How many hours were you there for?
I'm going to say we shot outside in a park for about 2 hours. And then the reception was also about 2 hours. So it was around 4 to 5 hours.
Okay. And then, so you were able to direct them. You did family photos, 4 or 5. I mean, I would say somewhere around like 200 to 300. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
200 to 300? Yeah. Okay.
300. Okay, yeah, sounds good. Yeah, no, so yeah, that was it. I just was excited about the wedding. I heard you guys were talking about deliverables
Yeah.
for weddings, and that's exactly what I'm doing right now. I'm editing while you guys are live.
Nice. Isn't that what we all do? We edit and we watch things or listen to things. So fun. Well, cool. So that I think that's about gonna wrap us up. Let me just double check. I don't think I have anybody else waiting to get in to say anything. So thank you guys for being here. I'm gonna kick out all of the other people besides Meredith. It's funny when I kick you out, I have to make sure that like I kick you out nicely and don't like report you to on accident report you to Zoom like you're horrible. You can't be here. So I'm nicely saying goodbye without doing that. Okay, cool. So I did just pull up the Rise workshop website, which you guys can see in the first link in the description there on the bottom, along with a coupon code. It's very fun. It's October 28th to 30th. It is the English Barn is the styled shoot that we're putting together. And then we've got a whole 3-day schedule, which is really great. And I was going to try to find, oh, this is the English Barn. Oh, yes. Here we go. Well, we do have it. Look at this.
There we go.
It's like we actually built this website on purpose. And by we, I mean H&H built this website on purpose. So it's a really fun spot. This is where our styled shoot is going to be. And we're working with absolutely incredible vendors. You can see our colors right there. So it's not going to be white and green, guys. It's not going to be white and green.
No.
Dear God. Okay, there's our mood board. So really pretty, very soft, great venue. And of course, we're going to have, reception table setups. We'll be talking about details as much as talking about photographing humans, photographing them separately, together. Definitely a fun cake. You should gotta have a cake. Oh, and there's actually horses there too. Yeah. Yes. There's horses. We should be leading with these horse pictures. This is right. That should be like the first photo. It should be the horse photos. Oh my gosh. And the dress photos. Oh yeah. So nice. Just leave it here for the horses. But yeah, so if you guys want to join us at Rise, it's later in the year, the end of October. You also get to tour H&H Color Lab, which is very fun. We're doing that with them, but you can go ahead and check out that. Boop. Copy and paste it. I'll plop it into the chat. And then there is also a $150 off code that's good, I believe, for like the next week or so. Anything else we need to say about Rise, aside from the fact that great style shoot, business focused also. Anything else?
Be prepared to work. It's not just a good idea workshop. It's a come in and, like you said, it's an intensive.
Yeah, it's an implementation workshop,
Yeah.
and that is the difference. All right, cool. Well, thank you all for being here. The almost 900 of you that joined it during this live, and then this will be up for you guys to view. And I'm going to let Lisa Linton